Hi, and welcome to the course. We're going to be talking about profiling and diagnostic tools in this section. So what are you going to learn? What are we going to cover in this particular section? Well, we're going to explain what are the diagnostic tools. So we're going to talk a little bit about the various tools that are available in the tool set with Visual Studio 2017. We're going to talk about analyzing responsiveness of the application, whether it be UI or the app itself. We're going to talk about how you can do analyzation to see how responsive is the application and to find bottlenecks or areas where the application is not being very responsive. Then we're going to talk about analyzing CPU usage. So do you have applications that seem to be using a lot of CPU or pegging out the CPU when they're running on your machine, whether they be Windows Store apps or apps you've written yourself. And lastly, we'll talk about memory usage, and we'll actually be able to go in and show you how we can debug the application and gather memory usage, or run a memory usage tool without having to debug the application. There's two different ways you can do it. And so we'll dive into there and show you how we can take snapshots of the memory and then do comparisons against the baseline of a memory read. In this particular section of our course, we're going to be talking about the diagnostic tools in Visual Studio 2017. In this particular video, we are going to discuss what are those diagnostic tools. So what will you learn? Well, we're going to discuss what are the diagnostic tools that are available and what actually can be diagnosed. So now that we have the tools, what kind of data can we actually glean from the tooling that we have? So the diagnostic tools are a way to profile your application. And it's performance profiling, it's memory profiling, CPU profiling, tracking events. When we talked about IntelliTrace last time, it's all about tracking those IntelliTrace events. So there's a lot of different information that's going to be captured as part of the diagnostic tool setup. So what kind of data can we capture, though? It depends on what we're looking at. So for example, if I run F5 and my application is actually running, I can actually capture the CPU, the memory, the networking, UI, and more. Like I say, the events for IntelliTrace. I can capture all that data in the diagnostic tools interface, and I can actually drill down into the results. So for example, if I'm on memory usage and I have high memory usage, I can dive into the results and see where is that memory usage actually going so high? What's happening here? Do we have a memory leak? Same thing with CPU. Is the CPU being pegged out? If it is, okay, let's dive in and find out what process is really killing our CPU here. So you can get a lot of that information. And again, this really goes back to what I like to preach, is that you're bringing the quality back down to the development level. You're shifting it left and making sure the developers are releasing a quality product before it gets into the QA environment. So with that, let's go and look at the UI and explain some of the pieces that work with the diagnostic tools in Visual Studio 2017. So I'm back here in our demo environment, and I am currently running the application. I hit F5, or you could actually click up here. In fact, mine's in a break state right now. I'm going to go ahead and continue it, and this is going to keep the application running. You'll notice here I have the diagnostic tools on the right side, and there's quite a bit of information available to me here. So for example, let's collapse this, and we can see we have different tools we can select, so such as the CPU usage, the memory usage. We can zoom in and out of the results. So we're going to leave that, and we'll scroll down here to the events. You'll be able to see events that are taking place. And let's get this out of the way. That's our UI. And you can see it's capturing this data here where we have events that are going on. We have process memory. We're tracking how much memory is being used. CPU, we can actually record the CPU profile. Memory usage, we can actually see the memory usage that we're using. Some of the events that are available, again, you can see here some of the different problems or issues you might have in the events, or what events are taking place. This is from back in the IntelliTrace video. This is where you will find that data is, the IntelliTrace data is in the events tag of the diagnostic tools. And then the summary. It actually shows us, like, we got a snapshot of memory here. we could actually drive into that memory and take a look at the data that's available to us based on that memory using the IIS Express XE process. So with that, I'm going to roll back to the slides. Again, this whole section, we're going to focus individually on the CPU, the UI, the networking, and the memory usage. So we'll dive into the results here and explain a lot more about those as we go into the course here. So join us for the rest of this section as we talk about the profiling tools and diagnostic tools in Visual Studio. All right, so what did we learn in this particular video? Well, we talked about what the diagnostic tools are. If you remember, we looked at things like the CPU usage, memory profiling, CPU profiling. We looked at the UI piece, networking, events, such as the ones that come in IntelliTrace. And we dove into a little bit in the demo and into the memory events and showed you a little bit of the information you're going to get back. Then we actually talked about what can be diagnosed. Obviously, those are the things we can diagnose with the tooling, the CPU, the network, UI, and memory, and such forth. And again, the events that can be captured.